So, welcome, Phil. I appreciate you hopping on to do this testimonial with me. Just walking through what your situation was, what brought you to really work with me to get your policy set up. So, my name is Terrell Hawkins. I am a licensed life insurance agent, also a real estate investor. Now, Philip Thai is a great connection that I have. Me and Phil met back in August, the
Yeah.
later end of August at a real estate meetup, salsa in the sub two. Both come from the same circles. Now, Phil, tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do business wise? How long you been in real estate? Yeah,
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on the show, brother. So I've been in real estate since 2017, and mainly my main business in this space is a little bit of everything. I do short-term rentals, I do fix and flips, I do um, wholesaling, and then I do a little bit of commercial, a little bit of investing with other people's deals, and a little bit of gator lending, coined by Pace Morby. So I do a little bit of everything. Things that I have not done are like new developments and storage and any other large multi kind of commercial assets. We do own, a multi-unit commercial building, but outside of that, haven't really touched or dabbled into the commercial space, but looking to get into that hopefully in 2024.
yeah. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I
Yeah,
know it's
exactly.
coming down the road. Coming down the road. And for those that doesn't know specifically what gator lending is, just lending for earnest money deposits. One of the very powerful uses of infinite banking as well, since you're using the same dollar twice, tax
Yeah.
free. So in regards to that, Phil, what made you first come across the concept of infinite banking, and what most intrigued you about it in
Yeah,
general?
so I actually learned about infinite banking a few years ago, probably back in, I don't know, probably in the COVID years. I would say maybe 3 to 4 years ago on Steve Trink's podcast with, he had a guest on there. I forgot the guy's name already, but he talked about infinite banking and how he utilized it in his investment strategies. However, I couldn't really get approved for that due to my previous my record of me being young and stupid. So I had to wait and wait my time in order for me to jump back in to make sure that I can get qualified uh, due to the time constraints. So, when I met you at the sub two or the salsa into sub two meetup, this was another way where I knew about whole life insurance policy, but I didn't know about the IUL policy. And so, after you spoke on stage and got me more intrigued about the product of IUL, I decided to kind of connect with you and see how I could potentially, start the process because at that time it was basically almost my time that I could essentially reapply back for the IU for a whole life insurance policy. So yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That event was definitely amazing.
Yeah.
Crowd was I was first speaker there, and the crowd was crazy. Loved the engagement from it. So in that regards, what really well, I'm for the audience to know, I specialize in getting people set with max funded IULs, not target premium IULs, which is what most people hear about when they hear IUL. They're referring to target premium IULs. Max funded are designed specifically for max accumulation. So you're getting the most money working for you at any given time. So when I did my presentation, what was the main thing that really had you thinking, "Oh, I need to be looking more into an IUL versus a whole life policy"? What was the main thing that made you think, "Okay, so this is where I need to be focusing to get my policy set up"?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I saw that made a lot of sense. And, I always wanted to be my own bank, right? I'm basically tired of using, not really tired, but I'm more like, hey, I should probably utilize my own capital to pay for some of my debts, to buy some of my own investments. But on top of that, I could actually make money on top of my money sitting at, an IUL policy or whatever, so I can actually withdraw it. And then the second thing is like it's a little bit outside of the traditional banking where, for instance, if you were to have like $10,000 in your account, and let's say you want to buy a car, that's like maybe worth $10,000, you would have to, deplete your whole bank account for 10 grand instead of the IUL way or the whole life insurance policy way where you dump 10 grand into a particular policy and you can borrow against it to pay for an asset, a liability, or some debt. And then from there, you can always just pay back yourself, which was very a mind-blowing concept when I learned it, but that's what I love about the whole life insurance policy and the IUL product is because you can do that. You can borrow against it. You can make a great return on your money, and it compounds year over year. And so if you don't need it, then you can continuously um, basically have it grow and then also have it basically tax free. So that's such an amazing product where um, I couldn't pass up on it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, the one thing that I really say is the biggest difference between a max fund IUL and whole life policy when used for infinite banking is just how quick your money grows. Because most of the policies that we get set up is average 14% over the
Yeah.
last 20 years of growth versus your lower end of profits that are a guarantee, but you have that guaranteed 0% floor. So, are you really worried about the economy downturns at all?
No, I'm not actually. I'm using it in a different way. So I honestly don't invest in any more stocks. I don't have a 401k. I have a self-directed IRA. But everything is basically all in real estate right now. I used to be, in stocks. I used to be in crypto, but I got burned too many times where I just got like, screw this. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
invest in my own
yeah,
self.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. That's I'm not investing in any of that either. Definitely the stock market directly at all. And definitely not crypto. It's just way too volatile right now. Because I truly believe that the top two backbones of the country in terms of the economy is real estate and life insurance. That's what they use. They use those two vehicles, use life insurance to use their money even further, and then put it into real estate. So all that being said, what are your plans for using infinite banking to really grow your real estate portfolio or buy
Mhm.
new businesses? Because you're a
Yeah.
business buyer, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I plan on so I got a sub two property that I am closing on in the middle of basically of January of next year, 2024. And I'm going to use a little bit of my IUL policy, borrow against it, and have that as a down payment or an entry fee for that. So I can make money on top of my money. And then the remaining amount of money can be divvied up between another set of real estate commercial properties that I'm buying or a business that I'm closing on the first week of January as a landscaping company. And then I have a couple of other companies that I'm looking to purchase at the beginning of 2024. One's an off-market medical facility that does PRP and stem cell injections. Another one is a title company out in East Texas. So the more I can dump money into my IUL policy, the more money I can borrow back and then utilize that as a down payment towards a producing asset, whether it be in real estate or business. So I'm super excited to maximize my IUL, my policy, even further than what it can do for now. Yeah.
Yeah, those are some crazy sounding investments, man. Sounds very profitable,
Yeah.
and honestly, not too risky either. So, would you would you say that your money's tied up at all when you put your money in IUL, or is it similar just parking the money temporarily?
Well, I mean, I would say on a mental note, it is kind of like getting tied up, but like once you get over that mental hump, I feel like I was like, okay, I can just touch this anytime I want. Basically, it's kind of like an extra bank, except this bank is giving you a lot better return and it gives you a death benefit as well. So if you were to pass, then whoever I designate to receive the funds, would receive the funds. So even better than a bank account, in my opinion. So I can log into my portal, I can look at it all I want, and I can withdraw from that account whenever I want. So yeah, after you get over that mental hump, then it's all good.
100%. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize, life insurance now, you can get living benefits as well. I do believe you have it set up on
Yeah.
yours. Philip's policy is a little bit different than most designs. With him, we actually have him using his business funds to fund his IUL, and he's redeploying that money to duplicate it even further. But you still get those living benefits personally. So chronic illness, critical illness, terminal illness, all those things. If something were to happen to you, you'd be covered. And if you were to pass away, your money go back to the business to fund the business based on how the policy was designed. Um, that's not for everybody, but for a lot of real estate investors, it makes the most sense. How was the process in getting your policy set up?
Yeah, it was super easy, super uh smooth, I would say. Just conveyed my criteria of what I wanted to use it for, and you guys designed a policy around that. And then obviously there were some moving parts associated with that. I had some adjustments during the process, but you guys still made it very easy. Showed me all the numbers, what it would look like, how it would basically turn out, and what I could use it for. So, I mean, I asked a lot of different questions, a lot of what ifs, else then kind of situations.
Right.
And it was a very easy, simple process. Got done with it in probably like 2 weeks after answering all the asking a lot of questions, and then you guys answering them, then me thinking about the amount that I wanted to deploy, and what really made sense for me. So, yeah, very, very easy process. Didn't had no friction at all. So very straightforward.
Happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that. Would you say that the concept of infinite banking would benefit others in real estate in the business buying community, or should they just go down the self-directed IRA route?
I think it really depends on your circumstance and where you're at in life. I think if I were to start this when I was younger, let's just say, I mean, I had less money. I think I may not have been ready for it, but at the stage of where I'm at in life, I think it's very appropriate. Obviously, the better that you can start it, the better off you'll be as far as your policy maturing. For me, I
100%.
just started, and if I had the same amount of money that I had now, the knowledge, then yeah, I would definitely go for it, right? Since I've been in real estate since about 6 years. But if you're getting a lot of cash flow or whatever, you have a lot of excess cash, I would say utilize this investment vehicle, this financial vehicle, to your benefit. And even if you're in like I would say even if you're in e-commerce or if you're other business that produces a lot of excess cash, I think this would be a great investment, great vehicle for you to um, maximize your cash and your investment opportunity. So I really think it really depends. So that would be my answer to people that are actually watching, and depending on what age you're at, um, start it. But yeah.
100%. Because this infinite banking is one use of it. Another use is what we refer to as LIRP, life insurance retirement plan. Honestly, in my opinion, life insurance is the best retirement plan you can have outside of just having a portfolio of rental properties. But as I'm sure you're aware, rental properties can have their own problems.
Yep.
You don't really have too many problems associated with life insurance. Um, and it's insulated from the market, generally speaking. So that's where I'm building my retirement personally.
Mm.
I'm not getting a 401k, and depending on that, I'm not getting a IRA, depending on that. Probably will get a Roth one day, just have some money there, diversify, but contribution limit to that. There's no contribution limit with the IUL. So that's my plan as well. Going forward. Do you have any advice that you would give to investors or entrepreneurs in terms of mindset and get prepared to really explore infinite banking and using life insurance to duplicate your money?
Um, the advice that I would give to, I guess, an investor, I would say do your research and due diligence on it and see what kind, where you can implement this in your life. I took some time and due diligence on doing that. And what I mean by that is, how can you fit this particular investment or not financial vehicle in your business, right? So, um, that's what I would say when it comes to understanding where this fits in the puzzle piece within your life. If you have kids, if you have a family, right? If you want to make sure that they see them, have something, have make sure that you leave something behind for them, and then also
For sure.
them not worrying. And then, or if you can have this in your business to optimize and scale, definitely one of those things that I would look into. And to give you guys an example of what I mean by that is, my policy is a good sized policy in my opinion, just basically where I'm at. But I'm also a very creative thinker, and I can give you guys this tidbit because I've thought about this maybe when I like a week after I got my policy, and I do a lot of fix and flips in my general area, and so let's just say my policy is, $20,000 to fund. Uh, I would utilize my hard money lenders to fund my. I'm gonna use I'm gonna use this technique to fund my policy. So what I'm planning on doing is the next flip that I have, I'm gonna borrow a little more on the rehab than I need so I can fund my policy. And then once I have that money in my policy, I'm going to borrow against that policy to continue the fix and flip. Now, if I had a $20,000 entry fee for my policy, all I have to pay now is maybe $5,000 to get it fully funded per se. I don't know if I explained that correctly, but I'm leveraging other people's money to fund my policy and then making a payment of the difference. And so
Yeah,
while continuing to continue on with the renovations. And once, the renovation is done and I flip it, all that money goes back to the policy that I borrowed. So that's one, tidbit trick that I end up thinking about. I don't know if it's new or if it's,
it's definitely higher level. Most people don't even think about that,
yeah,
but a lot of people don't know that you can take out a loan to open up a policy.
yeah,
There's reels and stuff circulating on the internet of people taking out line of credits to fund a life insurance policy. You can do that's an extremely powerful strategy.
yeah,
You can do that, of course. People use HELOCs to do it.
yeah,
It's hard money loans. I know not a lot of people have done it that way, but I mean the same concept applies. Using someone else's money to fund your policy and you're paying them back. But you're
yeah,
also going to have your money working for you while you're paying them back and using the money. So it's an extremely powerful strategy. This is why I wanted to have this conversation so people can get an idea of what they can use it for, kind of
yeah,
open up their mind because they think, okay, yes, life insurance, yes, infinite banking, but what's some practical uses for me to actually use it?
yeah,
Um, some of the people I talk to are flippers, some of them just regular cash buyers, um, and then it's just some regular entrepreneurs and some regular people that just live a 9 to 5. They don't really do any investing like that. So it's a very flexible product, and I want to ask this question. What is your view on life insurance from before we met to now, compared to now?
So before I met, I did my own research, like I said before in the beginning, and I absolutely fell in love with the idea. And then after we met, I even fell in love even harder with the idea because it had a higher rate of return rather than the old traditional whole life insurance policy going through the IUL. So, I mean, now I just can't wait for the year to be basically a one full year to see how much money I made in my policy, and then have that going. But since the looming recession's coming, so I don't know how well the market will do, but we'll see.
Yeah,
The market did jump a few points when the when the Feds mentioning that they're going to drop rates 3 times. So hopefully it's going to become a good year.
yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure next year, 2024. I have no idea what's going to happen, but yeah, you're built to ride ride the
Yeah.
roller coaster of the economy. So, two more questions. Let's say three. So, would you recommend any specific resources or educational material for anyone watching this to help them better understand the infinite banking concept?
Yeah, I mean, there's many, YouTube videos out there that you guys can watch in regards to this particular concept. The one that I got hooked on was Steve Trang. Was I think his first name was something Noggle, maybe Steve Noggle or
Yeah. Yeah, Steve Noggle.
is it Steve Noggle? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy that I initially learned the concept from, and and it kind of changed my thought process and opened my mind. But other than that, I didn't dive into anybody else's videos. I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of videos out there, maybe even thousands. I'm sure you guys can have videos that you guys posted on. I'm sure Terrell
Of
has a
course.
bunch of videos on his YouTube channel that you guys can watch.
Yeah, I just as of recording this, I have two videos on my YouTube channel. Basically that first presentation I did with you was just like super surface level.
Yeah.
So I went very granular on the two YouTube videos comparing the usual IUL that people think of and talk about versus the IUL that you have designed. So people can see literally side by side what one looks like versus the other. That's one video. And then I have another video showing the policy charges between the two and what they look like. Don't have a video between whole life and IUL yet doing a direct
Hmm.
comparison. That's coming down the road. But I do have some educational videos as well as my ebook, Infinite Banking Bible.com. You can get the ebook for free. As well. It talks about some different things. But yeah, I mean I think in terms of content on the internet, there's a lot of misinformation on how you should get your policy set up, but the internet is great on getting ideas of how you can use your policy. I think
Yeah.
that's where people need to be careful when they're like, okay, this person said this. I should have my policy set up this way. I should have my policy set up this way. That's where you need to do your own research, not just listen to one video on YouTube, actually look at some benefits and some pros and cons of these different policy types. So let's look in the future a little bit, Phil. 2 years down the road, how do you envision using your max funded IUL and how do you envision it playing a role in your business ventures?
Yeah, man. 2 years on the road, it would be a great time because my policy will have a good amount of money into it, and I'll probably continue to use it as I'm doing right now. But I think I'll be more heavily buying businesses with it and potentially funding businesses with it too as well, and having those investments come back as a payment, interest payments towards me, or maybe a payment towards my policy, so I can just basically recycle my money and make it work for me even better, even
Sure.
maybe triple the times potentially, right? So I I'm super excited for the future in regards to the policy, and I can't wait to see what it can hold. But another aspect to it is I could potentially, I plan on starting a family in about 2 years from now, so I can definitely utilize that policy to pay for some, expenses that may come up with the family,
100%.
or whatever I see fit. But the majority of it will be investment, right? Real estate and business, but probably more focused on business than real estate at that point in time.
Cool. Like to hear it. Like to hear it. Do you remember how long you have to pay into your policy before it's self-sustainable?
Yeah, it's only 2 years. So this year I already deposit my rider, and then the next year I just deposit one more amount, and it's sustainable. But I will continue to utilize that. Probably dump more money into it, depending on where I'm at as far as liquidity wise with the business.
Of
So
course.
um, so next year I plan on doing many more flips, and then buying 2 to 3 businesses. So hopefully that will be self-sustaining for a bit, and then I can just go off and chill out for a little bit and then start a family and then kind of jump back into it wherever I need to.
Yeah, because it's not a bill anymore at that point. It's
Yeah.
you're putting in for 2 years, never have to pay anymore for the rest of your life if you don't want to. But if you want to, you just be adding more fuel to
Hmm.
the fire, having your policy grow. I don't know if you realize, but the average policy, people have to pay for the rest of their life. So when
Oh,
they're like
really?
95, they still have to pay into the policy. I don't like getting people set up that way because it's unnecessary. Um, they can have it shorter. It just depends on the obviously the person's health and stuff like that, how short it can be as well as the amount. But in a situation like you for 2 years, have another client only have to pay 4 years, another client 10 years. So it really varies, but it's not going to be something that you're going to be stuck paying for the rest of your life. It shouldn't be looked at as a bill in most cases. And the way we design it, it's not looked at as a bill because it's an investment in yourself and your own future. It's
Yeah.
not a direct investment, but it's an investment in yourself.
Yep. I mean, when you were speaking of that way, I could utilize the funds that I invest into the policy to leverage in education for myself, for travel, for the business, right? You could do all kinds of different things that you could with if it's if it's your own regular money and have it grow for you as you're doing those activities, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest aspect, just duplicating your money
Yep.
and it's pretty passively. Obviously having the same tax treatment as a Roth IRA is great as well,
Yeah.
but that's not really the most important aspect in most cases. It's just being able to duplicate your money. So that being said, if you can think of three things that a person should know to prepare themselves or their family based on your experiences financially, just in general, what would you suggest considering your track record in business and investing?
Yeah, I would. So your question was three things that they should know before jumping into IUL policy, basically.
Just to prepare
Uh,
themselves financially for the future.
I would say one thing would take a look at your financials, like get very clear on what your spend is on a per month basis, like your living cost. How much does it cost yearly to live, right? Based on your
Of course.
lifestyle. Get clear on that, and then whatever excess cash that you could potentially afford to dump into your policy without dipping into your lifestyle would be the second situate or second thing that you should understand. And then third thing is that I had a limited mindset where I thought it had to come from my personal funds, but now that I know from you guys that I could utilize my business to fund my IUL, same thing as a bank would do, right? And understanding what, if you have a business, understanding how much money you have in surplus cash that you can utilize to dump into your IUL or policy so that you can, leverage that to do better things within your business. So those are the three things that I would consider because, if your personal life doesn't work out and if your business is better than your personal life, because sometimes that is because most of entrepreneurs keep a lot of their money in their business and they look cash poor on, personally, then take a look at your business and see what it can provide for you. So those are the three things that I think would be very beneficial as far as looking at an IUL.
I like that answer. I like that answer. On that note, those are all the questions I have, Phil. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, man, I would just I would say this one last thing is, the sooner you start and, you understand this concept, whether you start like maybe like, $10,000 a year or whatever it may be, I think that would be a great starting point for anybody because you can open more than just one policy. Um,
100%.
and where you're at in your life. So if you outgrow your current policy, then you can open another policy depending on where you're at, and then you can continue opening more and more and more. And not only in yourself, but maybe your other spouses and your family members too as well. So definitely don't be limited to just thinking that you just need one or only can have one, I should say.
Right. And I'll add on to that as well. don't have the limited mindset that if you're not healthy that you can't get a life insurance policy, because I do have some clients that have used, let's say, their wife's health, for example, to get the policy. They own the policy, but the wife is the one that's insured and gets the health check. So they can use it for investing if they're the ones that's investment savvy or the head of household, whatever case may be, whatever the situation is. Don't be closed-minded and saying, "Okay, I can't get this done," because you can use your business, you can use your kids' health, you can
Hmm.
also use siblings' health if they approve it, or a spouse. A lot of
Mm.
different options. That's why I love doing this. It's similar to creative financing in the fact that it's very flexible. You have different options, different ways of doing things, and all the ways of doing it are powerful. Every single one. So yeah, on that note, Phil, appreciate you for
Sure.
doing this for me. Glad to have you hop on, and I'm very excited to see what the future holds in terms of how you're going to be using this product. And I know you're going to open up another one at one point.
Yeah.
So just seeing how it's going to snowball in terms of getting your future prepped for what you envision it to be. So I'm very excited, and go ahead and end the video.
All right, man. Thanks.